Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome back to Toffee TV with me, Ped. I'm here with Baz. We're in the Windsor Hotel. And this is the second of our generic videos. We're going to have to find the name. If anyone can come up with a good name for our generic videos, please let us know. We did one last week on the MLS. Thanks to everyone who watched it, everyone who commented on it. Some fantastic comments, some great interaction on YouTube, Baz. Nice to see.
Fantastic, and some quite informative interaction as well, and good arguments, because obviously we'd good,
not arguments, discussions.
No, not arguments. Yeah,
discussions.
Strengthening people's arguments.
Yeah.
It was good, because it was some of those points that we'd made. People were giving us the reasons why it couldn't happen.
But thanks for like being gentle with us as well. But you know, warming embrace, nice. Not treating us like Euro snobs that a lot of people, you know, probably think we are. But we try to approach the subject objectively, and I thought it came off good. And thanks to everyone out there, and please, stick with us. We will come back to the MLS debate. Baz would have us talking about it every single week if he could, but I'm not going to start talking about the games yesterday, but New York's pitch, it's not under 9's footy. Please make it bigger, and I'll be interested to see what happens when the Yankees.
Brilliant, exciting game.
I'll be interested to see what happens when the Yankees start playing, because that is going to be interesting. Right, we're here to talk about the Premier League, all of the Premier League, not just Everton. We're here to talk about the Premier League. Interesting weekend for the Premier League. Manchester City go to Burnley. Everyone thinks it's a easy 3 points with the away team, but it is what is known in the UK as a coupon buster.
Banana skin. Everything
well,
else.
I'm just thinking of everyone who's gone, they'll win home, they'll win away, blah, blah, blah. And it was a buster. Burnley come out the winners with a fantastic George Boyd volley to give Burnley a deserved win.
Deserved?
I thought they deserved to win with their spirit and fight and...
Yeah, if it's obviously if you're taking
gingerness of the manager as well.
If you're taking that approach in terms of heart and effort and everything else, then yeah, fantastic. I think if you look at the game and possession and chances and everything else, and stonewall penalties and injury time aside, then yeah. But no, it was a tough one as an Evertonian, this one, because obviously worrying about ourselves, we wanted City to win about 3-0, but Burnley have been fantastic all season, really, in terms of people had them gone in September. They won't get 15 points and everything else. And Sean Dyche has been fantastic all season. You know, he's done the classic, what you're supposed to do as a manager. Yeah. Never get too excited when you win a game.
He doesn't get too excited.
No.
He never gets too excited.
Why's he got no voice? He's never got any voice at the start of the game. Obviously at the end of the game.
I'm not really sure, to be honest. But,
you wouldn't mess with him, would you?
Oh, you wouldn't mess with Sean Dyche.
No.
Someone asked us today if we'd have Sean Dyche at Everton. My answer was no, because we can't have another ginger at the club. That's my role at the club. Well, others may dismiss that, but
I will. Back to the game. No, look, it was a fantastic result, and a result that drags them back in with everything.
There's ramifications at the top and the bottom. We're going to stick to the top at the moment. Chelsea see that opportunity. Southampton are home. Southampton, brilliant first half of the season. It's been a little bit more in and out the second half of the season, very much like Everton last season. You get to the second half and players start getting worked out, the new players, and also how you play, and also fatigue starts kicking in second half of the season. Chelsea would have thought this was a fantastic opportunity to, make the gap bigger at the top, but they miss out. It ends up being a 1-1 draw, and Chelsea, after going out of the Champions League to PSG as well, they're starting to look a little bit leggy as well for me. They used a lot of the same players early on. I think up till Christmas they'd played 7 players in every game, so obviously they were leggy. And it's starting to look a little bit more like that in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you look at the highlights, and Southampton, excellent. We know that they press really high. They're good in possession as well. Chelsea are a little bit... I think Chelsea are really difficult to work out, because they can kind of have it with anyone. That no one bullies them. And some weeks they look like this fantastically well-oiled machine, and other weeks they just look quite ordinary, don't they? But what they do under Mourinho more often than not is they find a way to win. Yeah. And I think the problem for me, I think they'll still be champions. I think they'll still win it. I think for Chelsea, when Hazard doesn't have one of his most exceptional days, others kind of leave him to do it, and therefore it kind of flows away. But what Southampton done really well, I mean, they went behind to Costa header, done fantastically to respond after that, and they had some good chances there to win the game, let alone draw it. So, you know,
you mentioned there it's Chelsea's to throw away, but the fatigue does look like it's catching up with them. Although now they've only got the Premier League now to concentrate on now, so that should see them through. Costa hasn't been scoring, but obviously scored, so that would be good for them. But it does look like it's catching up with them. And we look at the 1 and 2 at the top. Obviously, it's Chelsea and Manchester City, but you know, just a point behind Manchester City now are Arsenal, who people have been telling us obviously haven't been doing that well. I mean, obviously they got beat by Monaco, and that second leg is to come this week, but I tell you what, in the Premier League they're doing all right, and they're just a point behind now, and they've always got that upward trajectory at the end of the season, like most years. And whereas they normally at most seasons it's pushing them to the top 4, top 3. I think there's a chance they can get the second place this season. I think they've got a lot about them. Giroud's come back at the right time. You know, they've got players in form, they've got players flying, and I think they could just get that second place.
They had the perfect game after the Monaco defeat, didn't they? They had Everton at home.
They had Everton,
I mean, look, they've got Walcott back now as well. He's a big player for them. You know, he's a real threat coming off the bench with that pace. They have got a good squad, Arsenal. They're just, sometimes you just think there's something missing with them, but they've certainly, the second half of the season, they looked like they're a tougher side to break down. They've got a lot of goals in them, and the winning games. And we know last year when we were ahead of them in that race for 4, they just get to that final third and they just put 7 or 8 wins together and kind of take them over the line. But now, you see, I was going to ask you before, when we started off with Manchester City, you've got to be disappointed in City, haven't you? You know, the amount of money they've spent. They've had a lot of those games like Burnley. When you watch them, they're either magnificent or they're really, really poor. I've
said this since last season. I think they're one of the actual poorest sides to win the league. And when I say side, I mean as a team. I think they've got lots of great individuals. And when Yaya plays, Man City play, he makes them tick. And we've seen on Saturday against Burnley, he gets dragged off, you know, the last 20 minutes. They bring Lampard on for him, and I think that's indicative of the way he is at the moment. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if he left in the summer. And I think Manchester City really need to replace him with someone who can take that role, maybe a Paul Pogba, someone who's young enough to come in and dominate games. I'm not sure, but I think they are a team who rely on individuals far too much.
Where do you stand on Pellegrini? I personally think I think this is his last season.
I think it could be his last season. I think they may go looking elsewhere, maybe knocking on Atletico Madrid's door, maybe someone like that. You know, I think that could
Brendan Rodgers is in.
Possibly probably, and another one. I think this may shock some people. Probably won't shock people. Mr. Fax himself. Rafa Benitez.
He was just going to be the man I brought up, and I think he would be perfect for Manchester City. I think in terms of Champions League, I think he'd have them boxed off. He's brilliant tactical awareness. I think he hasn't got to do much to that squad. I think you've just hit the nail on the head. Someone like Paul Pogba coming into that engine room and really getting them going. Got fantastic talent, but they just look very disjointed at times.
They're not a team for me, and I didn't think they were a team last season. I think they're very one-paced through games, and then it'll be a one spark of genius will get them a goal, and then the other team will find it very hard to come. The other fact is, Kompany's been really, really poor this season. Really, really poor. Really off his game. I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe it's. We've seen this in a few Belgian players this season, is the come down from the World Cup. We've seen that a lot, so maybe something to do with it. And obviously behind them, we talk about the race for 4th place or the race for the Champions places. Manchester United, a fantastic victory against Spurs, absolutely bulldozed them. Knock Spurs out, some may say. And the race is certainly on now, but for them and Liverpool to get that 4th place, I think it really is between them. And obviously they meet at Anfield next week, and that could be the game that decides who's going to get that 4th place.
It could be obviously. The teams like Southampton have pulled themselves very close to Liverpool as well. Spurs although they've had a disappointing defeat there at United, they're still right in it as well. You know, we're talking, you know, a couple of points between them. So at the moment, there's still kind of 9 games to go. I think I personally wouldn't say it's between United and Liverpool, just for the fact that if they, you know, it takes a couple of draws, if Southampton can turn a couple of wins and, you know, get in a couple of wins, Spurs can do the same. It puts it right in the mix. I think you'd expect Liverpool, United to be the two going for it. I just think with Man United having 6 points over Southampton and Tottenham and only the 9 games remaining, I think it would be very hard for Spurs and Tottenham. Yeah, but United have still got to go to Anfield. They've still got to play Manchester City, I think.
But what I'm saying there is, if Liverpool do beat them, then I think it's going to be tough for those other teams. We switch our attention to the bottom of the league now. Obviously, in the 3 spots at the bottom at the moment are Leicester, QPR and Burnley. Burnley showing a lot of fight, as we mentioned, with the victory. QPR looked dead and buried for me, and Leicester just lacked that little bit of quality. And I think, you know, if we talk about Everton for a moment, if Everton can go there to QPR next week and beat QPR, I think QPR, that'll be them relegated, to be honest, because I just don't see any fight in them.
Yeah, I mean, look, from an Everton perspective, if Everton beat QPR aren't getting there, Everton, so, you know, that's another team out the way. I think they're 3 points behind Burnley, 4 points behind Sunderland, who look as though they're sinking very fast. I think Hull City have got a problem. I think they don't score enough goals. They've got some really, really tough games. Aston Villa have had some great results the last few weeks.
It's all about the win percentages.
Well,
it's all about the win percentages.
But again, Villa have got some tough games coming up. You know, so look, we can sit here and go to dead and buried, but say QPR were to beat Everton next week, you know.
Well, the team who seem to be the fall guys, maybe Sunderland, big defeat on Saturday to Aston Villa, 4-0, fans walking out at half time. Gus Poyet, he's been sacked, he's gone.
It's a really, really interesting one, this, for me, because they've took a bit of a gamble. Whether they just think, look, he's gone, the dressing room, or whatever you want to call it, the crowd have gone. Once people start throwing season tickets at you and walking out at half time, you've got a problem. It's a really tough one, because they've done it before, haven't they? They brought the Canio in with 8 or 9 games to go, and he got them those couple of victories that just kept them up. You're looking for that.
Do you think
reaction.
That's what they're relying on? I think that's what he's looking at. Do you think he's thinking that lightning's going to strike twice and we'll get that bounce?
Who knows?
It's going to be interesting. Let us know. Comments. Get in the comments. Tell us what you think. We'll read them out next week. Also on Twitter at ToffeeTV1. Let us know what you think of the Premier League. It looks like it's going to be an exciting finish with 9 games to go. There's still plenty to play for. We don't need playoffs either. Right, we'll be back later. See you then.